The World Health Organization fact sheet updated last November 2016 stated that 1 in 3 or approximately 35% of women worldwide has experienced violence or sexual violence at one or more points in their life. As many as 38% of all murders of women are committed by their male partners. It is reported that 15% of women aged between 15 to 49 in Japan experience violence, including sexual violence from their partner in their lifetime. In Ethiopia it is a disturbing 71% of women. This is so disturbing considering that not all the age groups were considered, which would result in very much higher percentages. Also, according to the report, intimate partner violence and sexual violence can lead to unintended pregnancies, induced abortions, gynecological problems, and sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. The 2013 analysis found that women who had been physically or sexually abused were 1.5 times more likely to have a sexually transmitted infection and, in some regions, HIV, compared to women who had not experienced partner violence. They are also twice as likely to have an abortion. The full report is available in their website. It seems there will always be evil people who will sexually abuse other weaker people. How to avoid sexual abuse from both outside and inside the family. This presentation was created by Joseph Russell Timpu Geisen. Number 1. If possible, do not allow yourself or your loved ones to be left alone in places where you or they cannot be contacted or reached immediately for help. This especially applies to children who are weak and have very little defense against much bigger sex abusers. They are also easily scared by the sex abusers to not tell anyone that they have been sexually abused for fear that they or anyone that they care of will be hurt by the sex abusers. Number 2. Do not be a drunk or an addict. If you are a drunk or an addict, there could be situations that you are so drugged or drunk that you do not know what is happening around you or have passed out that you do not know that your children and or wife, for example, has been sexually abused by sex abusers who have used your moment of unavailability to attack your wife and children. There are always Philippine media news reports of children being sexually abused by their fathers or other members of the family, relatives, and or friends of the family while their mothers were too drugged out to know or do anything. The children then were scared to silence by their attackers for fear that they or their loved ones will be hurt by the sex attackers. They are then sexually abused every time their mothers passes out because of drugs. This happens in many parts of the world as well. This is not the worst of it. Sometimes the very sex abuser of the children and or the wife is the drunk or drug addict member of the family who is so out of their mind that they do not know that they are already sexually abusing their own family members or other people who may or may not be known to them. They may even torture or kill their own family members afterwards while still under the influence of alcohol or drugs. They are usually almost always remorseful when caught and not already under the influence of alcohol or drugs, but by then it is already too late. Number 3. If possible, have locks that can be opened only by both parents or double locks if children have their own rooms. This ensures that both parents have equal access to their children and that no one can sneak into their children while the other one is unavailable for the children. Number 4. Have alarms like bells, sirens, and or recorded voices screaming for help that are loud enough to be heard and disturb people for distances for use by your loved ones in case they get attacked. There should be mobile apps that simulates emergency alarms, sirens and or calls for help if they do not already exist. These apps would be very helpful to people being attacked, especially small children who are too small to fight back or run away. Number 5. CCTV cameras to monitor your loved ones and not only your children. CCTV cameras are popular these days. Governments, businesses, and the common public use them to monitor their properties, other people and the people they care for. Direct remote monitoring of babies and children are being marketed by many telecommunications and surveillance companies these days, which is not only good for business but does serve a helpful purpose of not only monitoring the safety of children but also gives the parents or their guardians peace of mind. Remote monitoring should also be actively extended to those who are sick, the elderly, and those who are doing dangerous jobs, especially those who have the potential to directly have a harmful impact to those within their vicinity, and not only them, like those occupations which are involved in fire hazards. Number 6. Use chastity belts or lockable metallic underwear to lock the private parts of your children away from sexual abusers. Although it may seem extreme, a chastity belt can be modified for comfortable everyday use by both children and adults who are in constant danger of sexual abuse. Parents will have peace of mind knowing that their children are safe from sexual abuse if ever they are far away from them and to where sexual abuses can happen, like when a teenage girl gets drunk in a party and is sexually abused by the males in the party. There are already numerous cases all over the world where teenage girls and even grown women are sexually abused by men when they get drunk or are drugged in date rape situations. Usually the teenage girl or even adult woman has no idea or do not entertain the idea that the men they are with are capable of sexually taking advantage of them and let their guards down. It usually takes just one or several unknown sexual abusers to make a girl pregnant and ruin her once promising life. Number 7. Train your children to use locks so they can lock themselves in the event of kidnappings. You can train your children, for example, to use handcuffs to lock themselves to some objects in very visible places so they will not be taken away by kidnappers. Number 8. Install panic rooms or cabinets for you and your loved ones. Panic rooms and cabinets do not have to be expensive. Simple steel lockers can serve the purpose of panic rooms and cabinets, especially to those who are not really tall, which is very much especially describes small children. If steel lockers are not available, you can reinforce wooden cabinets and use them as hiding places in case you get attacked. Number 9. Learn to defend yourself with or without using lethal weapons. If you have no choice but to face an attacker, then it is useful to have a weapon with you. You do not have to buy and use guns or other deadly weapons to repel an attacker. Even everyday items can become effective in repelling attackers if used properly. Make an inventory of the items you have and study how you can improvise to use them as weapons to defend yourself. Number 10. Ask your children or your loved ones every day how their day has been. Sometimes your loved ones are too scared, ashamed, and or do not know that they have been sexually abused, especially young children. If you ask them what happened to them today on a chronological basis, you will get a good idea of the full picture of what happened to them today. If you let them dictate the story of their day, they may skip to the interesting parts for them only, and you may miss out on their other stories which may be questionable. There are already numerous stories from all over the world where the parents do not know that their children are already being sexually abused because their children never tell them. The children never tell their parents because they do not know what sexual abuse is, and they just think that they are usually playing with their sex abuser. Usually later on, when the child is a bit or fully grown, that they realize that they were sexually abused. By then it would be too late to prosecute their sex abuser. Number 11. Always get the contact details of your children, their companions, and the people in the place they are going to, and call them once the curfew has expired or ask them to call you. A lot of problems can already happen to your loved ones, for example while they are in a party, but it is usually a risk that some parent, partner, or guardian has to take to preserve the privacy of their loved ones at the party. However, it is perfectly alright to call your loved ones after the party has finished or their curfew has expired to ask them of their next plans. They may already want to return home or do other activities which will again keep them away from you. What is important is to know that at least up to the current point they are safe, and you can then discuss how you will monitor their safety afterwards. Often when our loved ones do not call at the intended checkup time, they just lost track of time, which is understandable, and you should not be too upset. But you have to be firm and call them just to be sure that they are safe, which should be understood by your loved ones. Number 12. There are already nannies and babysitters who take care of children. Why not look for someone who will be a chaperone or third wheel who knows how to defend you if need be? These do not have to be expensive male or female bodyguards that also serves as status symbols for those who can afford them, but anyone who can defend you. Your tough friend can be your defender, or even by just going in groups you can combine your strength to monitor and defend each other if need be. If you want privacy on your dates but still want assurance that nothing will happen to you, especially if you are in a date with strangers, then you can ask your friends or anyone you know to stay incognito and stay at a distance from you to maintain your privacy but still close enough to be able to monitor you and know if you are in trouble. It is usually best to ask a neutral person to do this and not, let's say, your parents, who may be emotionally involved with you going out on a date. Sexual abuse has always happened to both male and female sexes. This includes the old and the young. This also includes grandmothers and babies who are not respected or spared. Sex abusers can be anyone from hardened criminals to priests. They can be your very own teacher or father. Sex abusers can be anyone, so you must be on guard at all times and must be on guard for your loved ones as well. End of presentation.
Reminder: I may be presenting you correct, incorrect, or intentionally misleading information for my benefit only. I advise you to conduct your own study and double-check this presentation. Thank you for your time. I hope you will continue to watch my other presentations. See you again later.